The alarm on the bridge made a soft beeping sound. Captain Dehan looked up from his screen and frowned. His ship, the Stellar Dawn, had been flying the same patrol route for 3 years. Nothing ever happened out here near the Forbidden Zone. "Captain, I'm reading something strange," Una Park said from her station. She was the science officer, and her voice carried a tone he had never heard before. Excitement mixed with confusion. They walked over to her console. "What is it?" "The barrier around the Sol system. It's flickering." Una's fingers danced across the controls. "Sir, that barrier has been solid for 4,000 years. The Galactic Council put it there before my great-great-grandparents were born." They stared at the readings. The Sol Quarantine Zone was the most mysterious place in known space. Every child learned about it in school. No one goes to Sol. No one talks about why. The Council forbids it. That was all anyone knew. "Show me visual," they ordered. The main screen flickered to life. There, in the darkness of space, a massive energy barrier surrounded an entire star system. But Una was right. It was failing. Cracks of normal space showed through the shimmering wall. "Captain, I'm detecting structures inside," Una said. Her voice shook slightly. "Big ones. Bigger than anything we've ever built." They made a decision that would change everything. "Set course for the barrier. Slow approach." "Sir, that's against Council law," his first officer said. "The barrier is failing anyway," they replied. "We need to see what's inside before someone else does." The Stellar Dawn moved forward. As they got closer, the energy readings became stronger. Then, without warning, the barrier collapsed completely. It simply vanished, like someone had turned off a light. "By the ancestors," Una whispered. Before them lay a star system full of life and technology. Massive stations orbited the third planet. The fourth planet glowed red and showed signs of terraforming. The moon of the third planet was covered in structures that looked like weapons. "Are those defense platforms?" they asked. "Thousands of them," Una confirmed. "Captain, the third planet. It's covered in lights, cities, billions of life signs. They told us this system was dead," they said quietly. "They said nothing could live here." A communication signal hit their ship. Una's console lit up. "Someone is hailing us, sir. Audio and visual. Put it through." The screen changed. A woman appeared. She had dark hair pulled back in a simple style. Her eyes were calm, even kind. She wore clothes that seemed both formal and practical. "Greetings, Stellar Dawn," she said in perfect galactic standard. "My name is Mira Choi. I represent Earth's diplomatic corps. We've been expecting visitors." They felt his mouth go dry. You speak our language?" Myra smiled. "We speak many languages, Captain. We've been listening to the galaxy for a very long time. Please, do not be alarmed. You are welcome here." "The barrier," Una blurted out. "What happened to it?" "It expired," Myra said simply. "The seal was set for 4,000 years. The time is up. We are ready to rejoin the galactic community." They tried to process this. "You knew about the barrier? You knew about us?" "Of course," Mira said. "Captain, we built the barrier. Well, our ancestors did. They sealed Earth away from the galaxy. It was necessary. But now the time has come for us to return." "Why?" they asked. "Why would anyone seal themselves away?" Mira's expression became serious. "Because we needed time. Time to heal. Time to build. Time to become better than we were. Captain Dehan, humanity has been preparing for this moment for millennia. How do you know my name?" they demanded. "Your ship's identification signal. We have full access to Council databases. We have had it for a long time." Myra gestured to something off-screen. Captain, would you be willing to meet in person? There is much we need to discuss. The galaxy is not as safe as the Council believes. There are things you need to know. Yuna looked at Day. Her expression asked the question, should we trust them? Day thought about the massive structures he could see, the defense platforms, the organized cities below. Whatever these humans were, they had been busy for 4,000 years. We'll meet, Day said. But my crew's safety is my first concern. Understood and respected, Myra said. I will send you coordinates for a station in orbit. You will be perfectly safe, Captain. You have my word. And the word of Earth. The communication ended. Day sat back in his chair. His mind raced with questions. Who were these humans? Why did the Council seal them away? What had they been building all this time? Captain, orders? His pilot asked. Day looked at the planet below. Earth, they called it. A blue and green world that looked surprisingly peaceful for a place that had been locked away for 4 millennia. Take us to those coordinates, he said, and send a message to Council headquarters. Tell them the Sol quarantine has fallen. Tell them Earth is inhabited. Tell them we're making contact. What else should I tell them, sir? The communications officer asked. Day looked at the defense grid, the massive stations, the transformed planets. Tell them we need to know the truth. Tell them we need to know why humanity was really locked away. As the stellar dawn moved toward the meeting coordinates, Day couldn't shake one thought. Mira had said they had been preparing. Preparing for what? And why did her calm confidence make him feel both safe and deeply worried at the same time? The galaxy was about to change. He could feel it. And Earth held the key to everything. The council chambers on Centrum Prime had never been so loud. Day stood at the center platform, surrounded by representatives from 40 different species. They were all shouting at once. This is a disaster. A tall alien with blue skin yelled. The quarantine was there for a reason. We must restore the barrier immediately. Another voice called out. Day tried to speak, but no one would listen. The chamber descended into chaos. Finally, a sharp sound echoed through the space. Everyone fell silent. An old man stood at the historian's podium. He was human, though his family had left Earth long before the quarantine. His name was Quan Li, and he was the oldest member of the council. Enough, Quan said quietly. His voice carried weight. You all panic, but none of you even know what you fear. Let me tell you what the records say. Let me tell you about the predecessor war. The chamber went completely silent. Even the counselors who had been shouting now sat still. The predecessor war was legend, ancient history. Most people thought it was just a story. 5,000 years ago, Quan began, the galaxy was different, bigger, hundreds of species that no longer exist. And there were the predecessors. A race so advanced, so powerful, that they saw all other life as insects. They decided to cleanse the galaxy. Images appeared on the screens around the chamber. Ancient battles. Planets burning. Entire systems going dark. The predecessors were winning, Quan continued. They had destroyed half the galaxy. Nothing could stop them. The council of that time was desperate. They searched every world for anything that could help. And they found Earth. Day felt a chill run down his spine. Earth was a death world, Quan said. Its gravity was high. Its weather was violent. Its life forms competed in brutal ways. And the humans who evolved there were survivors. They could adapt to anything, weaponize anything. They looked at the predecessor technology and understood it in ways we never could. So the council recruited them? Someone asked. Yes, Quan said. Humanity became the galaxy's warriors. They fought the predecessors for 100 years, battle after battle. And slowly, impossibly, they started winning. The humans discovered the predecessors' weakness. They created weapons the predecessors couldn't defend against. And in the final battle, at tremendous cost, humanity ended the war. Then why seal them away? They asked. Quan's expression turned sad. Because Earth was destroyed in the process. Billions of humans died. The survivors were traumatized, angry. They had saved the galaxy, but lost everything. The Council feared what humanity had become. And humanity feared themselves. The doors to the chamber opened. Mara Choi walked in, calm and confident. Behind her walked a man in a military uniform. He was tall and moved with precise grace. The Council need not fear us, Myra said clearly. We sealed ourselves away by choice. We needed time to heal. Time to remember who we were before the war. And who are you now? The Council leader asked. The military man stepped forward. My name is Commander Jae-sung. I represent Earth's defense forces. For 4,000 years, my people have been rebuilding. Not just our world, but ourselves. You've been building weapons, an alien counselor accused. We've seen your orbital platforms. Your warships. Yes, Jay said simply. We have. The chamber erupted again. Counselors shouted about threats and invasions. Mira raised her hand, and somehow everyone quieted. You want to know what we built? She asked. You want to know why we stayed hidden? Very well. But first, answer me this. Has anyone checked the deep space sensors lately? The ones that monitor dark space beyond the galaxy? The Council's science advisor tapped his console. His face went pale. There's something there. Massive structures. Moving toward the galaxy. Yes, Myra said. They are. And they will arrive in approximately 50 years. What are they? Day asked, though he already feared the answer. The predecessors, Jay said grimly. They're coming back. Our AI systems detected their approach 20 years ago. We've been trying to warn the Council, but the barrier blocked our signals. The chamber fell into stunned silence. That's impossible, the Council leader said weakly. We defeated them. You wounded them, Myra corrected gently. Humanity hurt them badly. They retreated to dark space to rebuild. Now they're returning to finish what they started. How do you know this? Someone demanded. Because we've been watching, Jay said. We've been preparing. We've been doing what humanity does best. We've been getting ready for a fight. They felt his stomach drop. That's why you built everything. The defense platforms. The weapons. The fleet. Yes, Myra confirmed. We have 10,000 warships ready. Trained crews. Advanced weapons. We've studied every battle from the last war. We've learned from our mistakes and from our victories. You expect us to just trust you? A counselor shouted. You've been hiding from us for millennia. No, Myra said firmly. We expect you to make a choice. In 50 years, the predecessors will reach the outer colonies. In 60 years, they'll be at the core worlds. You can spend that time fighting among yourselves, or you can let us help you survive. Help us? The council leader laughed bitterly. You're human. Warriors. How do we know you won't conquer us once the threat is gone? Jay's expression hardened. Because we already saved you once. Because we paid the price for that salvation. Because we've spent 4,000 years learning to be more than weapons. Myra stepped closer to the council platform. We're not asking to rule you. We're not demanding anything. We're offering to teach you what we learned. We're offering to stand beside you when the darkness comes again. They found themselves speaking without planning to. I've met them. I've seen their world. I don't sense deception. I sense purpose. You've known them for days, someone scoffed. Yes, they agreed. But I've served on the council's ships for 20 years. I know what predators look like. These people aren't predators. They're guards. There's a difference. Quan Li spoke again. I move that we send a delegation to Earth. Let them show us what they've built. Let us verify their claims about the predecessors. Then we decide. And if they're lying? The council leader asked. Then we're no worse off than we are now, Quan said. But if they're telling the truth... He paused. If they're telling the truth, then we need them. And they're offering themselves freely. The vote was called. It was close, but it passed. A delegation would go to Earth. They would see the truth with their own eyes as the chamber emptied. Day approached Mira and Jay. Why tell us now? Why not just prepare in secret? Myra smiled sadly. Because we can't do this alone, Captain. We learned that lesson the hard way. The predecessors are too strong. We need allies. We need friends. And we need the galaxy to understand. Earth wasn't secluded because we were dangerous. We were secluded because we needed to become something better. Something worth fighting alongside. They looked at these two humans and saw something he hadn't expected. Not arrogance. Not aggression. Just quiet determination and bone-deep sadness for wars they never fought but still remembered. The galaxy was about to learn the truth about Earth. They just hoped everyone was ready for it. Yuna had never seen anything like it. The transport ship descended through Earth's atmosphere, and below her stretched a world that should not exist. Green forests, blue oceans, white clouds. A death world that looked like paradise. Beautiful, isn't it? Mira said from beside her. The diplomat had insisted on personally guiding the council delegation. I expected something darker, Yuna admitted. More industrial. We learned that lesson, Myra replied. After the war, our ancestors almost destroyed what was left trying to rebuild too quickly. They realized that healing the world was as important as defending it. The ship landed at a facility built into a mountain. As they exited, Yuna noticed something odd. The guards were armed, yes, but they smiled. They greeted the delegation warmly. These were not the cold warriors she had expected. A woman in a white coat approached. She was young, with kind eyes and an easy manner. Welcome to Earth. My name is Dr. Somanbei. I'm the director of the Historical Archives. I'll be showing you what we've been doing for the past 4,000 years. The delegation followed Soman into the mountain. The corridors were carved from solid rock, but lined with lights that mimicked natural sunlight. They passed rooms full of people working at consoles, studying screens, building things Yuna couldn't identify. This is our primary research facility, Soman explained. We have 200 more like it around the planet, each one dedicated to different aspects of our preparation. Preparation for war, one of the alien delegates said coldly. Preparation for survival, Soman corrected gently. Let me show you why. She led them to a massive chamber. The walls were covered in screens. Each screen showed images from the past. Battles, destruction. Death on a scale that made Yuna feel sick. This is what the predecessor war looked like, Soman said quietly. These are the actual recordings from 5,000 years ago. The council sealed most of these away. They wanted people to forget. But humanity couldn't forget. We lived it. The images showed human soldiers fighting impossible odds. Ships burning. Planets dying. And through it all, humans kept fighting. We lost 10 billion people, Soman said. Out of 12 billion, Earth itself nearly died. The oceans boiled. The air burned. And when it was over, when we finally defeated the predecessors, we had nothing left. No resources. Just 2 billion survivors on a dying world. The council abandoned you, they said softly. He had read the sealed records during the journey. They were overwhelmed, Soman said diplomatically. They had to rebuild their own worlds. We understood, but we also knew we couldn't let it happen again. So we made a choice. We asked the council to seal us away. Give us time. Let us heal and prepare in peace. She pressed a button. The screens changed to show Earth rebuilding. Slowly, carefully, forests growing back, cities rising from ruins. But always there were the shipyards, the weapons, the soldiers. We spent the first 1,000 years just surviving, Soman continued. The second 1,000 years rebuilding. The third 1,000 years preparing. And this last 1,000 years, we've been perfecting what we learned. Show us, one of the delegates demanded. Show us what you've built. Soman smiled. Very well. Follow me. They took an elevator up, until they emerged on the mountain's peak. And there, spread before them, was the truth. Orbital stations covered the sky. Massive structures that gleamed in the sunlight. Yuna counted hundreds of them. No, thousands. That's our planetary defense grid, Soman said. Every station is automated. Every weapon system is connected to a central AI. If anything hostile enters this system, it dies before it gets close to Earth. The moon, Yuna breathed. Through a telescope, she could see the lunar surface. It was covered in structures, weapons, massive cannons that pointed at space. We converted the entire moon into a fortress, Soman confirmed. It can fire in any direction. The energy output is equivalent to a small star. Nothing gets past it. This is madness, an alien delegate said. You've turned your home system into a weapon. No, a new voice said. They turned to see Commander Jae-sung approaching. We've turned our home system into a shield. Come, let me show you Mars. They took a shuttle to the red planet. As they approached, Yuna saw that it was no longer red. The planet was covered in clouds. Oceans sparkled below. Cities dotted the surface. We terraformed Mars in 2,000 years, Jay explained. It's now our military academy. Every human who serves in our defense forces trains here. They learn tactics, strategy, how to work with other species, how to protect without conquering. You train to work with us? Day asked, surprised. Of course, Jay said. We know we can't fight the predecessors alone. We need the galaxy united. So we prepared not just weapons, but also teachers, advisors, partners. They landed at a vast facility. Inside, thousands of humans trained. But Yuna noticed something remarkable. They weren't just learning to fight. They were learning languages, studying alien cultures, practicing diplomacy. We made a promise to ourselves, Jay said seriously. We would never again become just warriors. We would be protectors. There's a difference. Warriors seek glory. Protectors seek peace. Warriors fight because they want to. Protectors fight because they have to. Soman led them to a final room. It was circular, with a single display in the center. The display showed the galaxy. And beyond it, in the dark space between galaxies, it showed massive structures approaching. Our deep space sensors detected them 20 years ago, Soman said. AI analysis confirms their predecessor ships. Thousands of them. Maybe tens of thousands. They've been building just like we have. And in 50 years, they'll be here. The room fell silent. How do you know you can stop them? Yuna asked. We don't, Soman admitted. But we know we have a chance. We've studied every battle from the First War. We've analyzed every weakness. We've built weapons specifically designed to counter their technology. And most importantly, we've learned from our mistakes. What mistakes? They asked. Jay answered. In the First War, humanity fought alone while the Council species supported from behind. We took all the casualties, bore all the cost. It made us bitter, angry, That's why the Council feared us afterward. This time, we fight together. We shared the burden. We protect each other. You're asking us to trust you, a delegate said. To trust humanity with our survival. No, Myra said, entering the room. We're asking you to trust yourselves. We'll provide the tools, the training, the knowledge. But the galaxy must defend itself. We're not saviors. We're just the ones who remembered what it cost to forget. Yuna looked at the approaching threat on the display. Then she looked at the humans around her. They weren't monsters. They weren't conquerors. They were survivors who had decided that surviving alone wasn't enough. They wanted everyone to survive. What do you need from us? They asked quietly. Time, Jay said. We need the Council to stop debating and start preparing. We need every species to contribute what they can. We need unity. And if the Council refuses? Someone asked. Myra's expression turned sad. Then humanity will fight alone again. And this time, we'll probably lose. But we'll fight anyway. Because that's what we do. We don't give up. We don't surrender. We stand between the darkness and those who can't defend themselves. The delegation stood in silence, watching the display, watching the threat that was coming. And slowly, one by one, they began to understand. Earth hadn't been hiding from the galaxy. Earth had been preparing to save it, again. 3 weeks after returning from Earth, Yuna couldn't sleep. She worked late in the Council's Deep Space Observatory, checking and rechecking the data. They found her there at midnight, staring at screens filled with numbers. You should rest, he said gently. I can't, Yuna replied. Her hand shook as she pointed at the screen. I've been using Council sensors to verify what the humans told us. I've checked it 17 different ways. I've had 5 other scientists review my work. And they're right. The predecessors are coming. The humans actually underestimated. They'll arrive in 47 years, not 50. And there are more ships than anyone thought. Maybe 100,000 vessels. They felt cold. Have you told the Council? I sent the report an hour ago. Yuna turned to face him. Her eyes were red from exhaustion and fear. Do you know what the Council's response was? Half of them don't believe it. They think it's a human trick to gain power. The other half want to surrender immediately. No one wants to fight. Exactly. Yuna slumped in her chair. The humans spent 4,000 years preparing for this. We have 47 years. It's not enough time. They sat beside her. Then we make them understand. We make them see. The next day, Day and Yuna presented their findings to the full Council. The chamber was packed. Every species had sent representatives. The tension was thick enough to cut. The data is clear, Yuna said, her voice steady despite her fear. The predecessor fleet will reach the outer colonies in 47 years. Based on their last known capabilities, each ship can destroy a planet in hours. This is human propaganda, a counselor shouted. They want us afraid, so we'll give them control. Before Yuna could respond, the chamber doors opened. General Taemin walked in. He was older than the other humans they'd met, with gray hair and scars that told stories of a hard life. He moved with absolute confidence. Members of the Council, Tae said, his voice filling the chamber. I am General Taemin, commander of Earth's defense forces. I am here to make you an offer. We don't need human charity, someone called out. Good, Tae replied sharply. Because I'm not offering charity. I'm offering a partnership. Earth has built a fleet of 10,000 warships. Each one is designed using lessons learned from the First War. Each one is crewed by trained professionals who have studied predecessor tactics for their entire lives. He pressed a button. Images filled the screens. Massive ships. Sleek and deadly. Nothing like the bulky council vessels. These ships are fast, heavily armed, and most importantly, they work as a coordinated fleet. During the First War, the council species fought independently, each one using their own tactics, their own technology. It was chaos. The predecessors picked you apart one by one. And you propose what? The council leader asked coldly. That we hand over our fleets to human command. No, Tay said. I propose that we teach you how to fight, how to coordinate, how to survive. Earth will provide training. We'll share our technology. We'll integrate our forces with yours. But your people will command your own ships. Why would you give us your technology? A delegate asked suspiciously. Because we need you, Tay said simply. 10,000 ships isn't enough. We need 100,000. 200,000. We need every species building ships, training crews, preparing defenses. The predecessors are coming for all of us. Not just Earth, not just the Council, everyone. Tuan Li stood. The old historian's voice was quiet but firm. I have reviewed the ancient records. In the First War, humanity lost everything because they fought alone. The Council survived because humans protected them. Now the humans are asking for help. Are we so proud that we would refuse? Pride won't matter when we're dead, Day found himself saying. Everyone turned to look at him. I'm sorry, but it's true. I've seen what humanity built. I've seen their dedication. They're not perfect, but they're our best chance. The debate raged for hours. Some counselors wanted to fight. Others wanted to flee. Many simply couldn't accept that the threat was real. Finally, Taemin spoke again. Let me tell you what will happen if you do nothing. The predecessors will arrive. They'll destroy the outer colonies first. Billions will die. You'll panic. You'll try to organize a defense, but you'll have no time. No training. No coordination. They'll push deeper into council space, destroying everything. World after world will burn. And when they reach the core planets, when they come for Centrum Prime itself, you'll wish you had listened. And if we accept your help? The council leader asked. Then starting tomorrow, human advisors will deploy to every major world. We'll help you build ships, train crews, set up defenses. We'll share everything we know. And when the predecessors arrive, we'll stand together, united, ready. And after the war? Someone asked. After we've given you access to our technology, our worlds, our military secrets? Tay's expression softened. After the war, if we survive, humanity will return to Earth. We'll go back to our system. We'll leave you in peace. We don't want your territory. We don't want to rule you. We just want everyone to live. How can we trust that? You can't, Tay admitted. Trust must be earned. But consider this. We sealed ourselves away for 4,000 years. We could have emerged at any time. We could have conquered the galaxy while you were unprepared. We didn't. We waited. We prepared. Not for conquest, but for this moment. For the chance to save you again. A junior counselor stood. She was young, representing a small species from the outer rim. My people remember the stories, she said. Stories passed down from the First War. How human ships would position themselves between predecessor weapons and civilian stations. How human soldiers would hold positions so others could escape. How humanity bled so we could live. If they're willing to do it again, then I vote we accept their help. Other counselors began to speak. Slowly, reluctantly, the tide turned. Not because they fully trusted humanity, but because the alternative was extinction. The vote was called. It passed by a narrow margin. Earth would be allowed to help prepare the galaxy's defense dot as the chamber emptied. Yuna approached General Taemin. Do you really think we can win? Tay looked at her with eyes that had seen too much. I think we have a chance. In war, that's all anyone gets. A chance. What matters is what you do with it. And if we lose? Then we lose together, Tay said. And at least we'll know we tried. That we stood up to the darkness. That we didn't give up. There's honor in that. There's meaning in that. They joined them. What happens now? Now we work, Tay said. We have 47 years to build a force capable of stopping 100,000 predecessor ships. It's not enough time, but it's what we have. So we make every day count. As they left the chamber, they noticed something. Human ships were already arriving at Centrum Prime. Transports full of advisors, engineers, trainers. Earth hadn't waited for the Council's permission. They had been preparing for this moment all along. The galaxy was about to learn what humanity had spent 4,000 years perfecting. Not just how to fight, but how to hope, how to stand together against impossible odds, how to refuse surrender even when defeat seemed certain. The predecessors were coming, but they would find something they didn't expect. A galaxy united, a galaxy trained, a galaxy that remembered what it cost to forget the price of freedom. And leading them would be the same species that had paid that price before. Humanity, the guards who never left their post, even when everyone else had forgotten why the post needed guarding. 3 years had passed since the Council voted to accept Earth's help. Una stood on the bridge of her new command, looking out at the fleet assembled around her. She was an admiral now, commanding a mixed force of Council and human vessels. It still felt strange. Admiral, all ships report ready, her communications officer said. He was from a species with 4 arms and had learned perfect galactic standard from human teachers. Thank you, Haniel, Una said. She had learned to use simple Earth names for her crew. It helped build unity. The fleet around her was impressive. 500 ships from a dozen different species, all moving in perfect coordination. 3 years ago, such a thing would have been impossible. Council species didn't cooperate well. Everyone used different technology, different tactics, different command structures. But humanity had changed that. They had taught everyone to work together, to communicate, to trust. Admiral, incoming transmission from the defense coordinator. Haniel reported. Mira Choi appeared on the screen. She looked tired but determined. For 3 years, she had worked without rest, traveling from world to world, teaching, organizing, encouraging. The galaxy's transformation was largely her doing. Admiral Una, status report? Myra asked. All training exercises completed successfully, Una replied. The fleet moves as one. Communications are seamless. We're ready. Good, Myra said. Because we just got word. The predecessor fleet has entered the Outer Rim. They'll reach the first defensive line in 6 months. Una felt her stomach tighten. 6 months. After all the preparation, it was finally happening. How many ships? She asked. Approximately 90,000, Myra replied. Less than we feared, but still overwhelming. Every available vessel is being moved into position. The first battle will determine everything. After the transmission ended, Una sat in her command chair. 3 years. They had accomplished so much in 3 years. The galaxy had built 70,000 new ships, trained millions of crew members, established defensive networks around every major world. But would it be enough? A message appeared on her personal screen. It was from Daehan. He commanded his own vessel now, part of the first defensive line. The front line. Hey, his message read. If you're reading this, then you heard the news. They're coming. I won't lie, I'm scared. But I'm also proud. Proud of what we've built. Proud to stand with humans, with all species, against this threat. Whatever happens, we did our best. We stood together. That means something. Yuna typed back quickly. Stay safe, my friend. Come back so we can celebrate when this is over. She knew it might be the last message she ever sent him. 6 months later, Yuna's fleet moved into position at the second defensive line. Ahead of them, the first battle had begun. Sensor readings showed the scale of the conflict. Thousands of ships engaged in combat across dozens of light years. Reports coming in, Haniel said. The first line is holding. Casualties are significant, but they're holding. Yuna watched the tactical display. The defensive strategy was simple. Multiple lines of defense, each one falling back when overwhelmed, each one buying time for the next line to prepare. It was brutal, calculated, and very human. Admiral, we're receiving something strange, the communications officer said. It's not a standard military transmission. It's music? Music? Yuna asked. Yes, ma'am. Broadcasting on all frequencies. Coming from Earth. The sound filled the bridge. It was beautiful, haunting, a human song about hope and defiance, about standing against the darkness, about refusing to surrender. They're broadcasting it to the entire galaxy, Haniel said, wonder in his voice. Every ship, every station, every world. They want everyone to hear it. Yuna understood. This was humanity's gift. Not just weapons and tactics, but meaning, purpose. The reminder that they were fighting for something worth saving. Other species began broadcasting their own music, their own stories. The communication channels filled with songs and poems and declarations of defiance. The galaxy was speaking with one voice for the first time in recorded history. Ma'am, the predecessor fleet is breaking through the first line, the tactical officer reported. They're heading our way. All ships, battle stations, Yuna ordered. Her voice was calm. She had learned that from General Tae-min. A commander's fear spreads faster than any disease. Stay calm. Stay focused. Prepare to engage. The predecessor ships appeared on the sensors. They were massive, dark, covered in weapons that could shatter worlds. But they weren't invincible. Humanity had proven that 5,000 years ago. Wait for my command, Yuna said. The human tactics required patience. Let the enemy commit. Find the weakness. Strike hard. The predecessors opened fire. The void lit up with energy beams and missiles. Yuna's fleet shields held, barely. Return fire, Yuna ordered. All ships, execute pattern Delta 7. The fleet moved like a single organism. Ships from different species, different worlds, different cultures, all working together. They targeted the weak points in the predecessor formations. The spots humanity had identified through centuries of study. Predecessor ships began to explode. Not many, but enough. Enough to show they could be hurt. The battle raged for hours. Ships died on both sides. But Yuna's fleet held the line. And behind them, the third defensive line prepared. And behind that, the fourth. All the way back to the core worlds. After the battle, Yuna received reports. The first defensive line had lost 40% of its ships, but they had destroyed thousands of predecessor vessels. And they had bought time. A transmission came from Earth. General Tae-min appeared on the screen. He looked older. The war was aging everyone quickly. Admiral Yuna, he said. You did well. The galaxy did well. We're proving something today. We're proving that united, we can stand against anything. Are we going to win? Yuna asked directly. Tae was silent for a moment. I don't know. The predecessors are strong, but we're stronger than we were. And we're learning. Every battle teaches us something. Every victory, every loss, they all matter. Over the following years, the war continued. The galaxy fought with everything it had. Humanity provided the tactics, the training, the inspiration. But every species contributed. Every world sent ships and crews and resources. They survived the first battle. And the second. By the fifth battle, he had been promoted to fleet commander. He and Yuna fought side by side, coordinating massive formations across light years of space. One day, during a brief rest period, they visited Yuna's flagship. They sat in her quarters, drinking tea that humans had taught them both to appreciate. "Did you ever think we'd end up here?" they asked. "Fighting an ancient enemy alongside species that couldn't stand each other 3 years ago?" "No," Yuna admitted. "But I'm glad we are. Have you noticed something? The way species treat each other now? The cooperation? The friendship? That's humanity's real gift. Not weapons, unity. They paid a terrible price to learn that lesson," they said quietly. "Billions dead in the First War. 4,000 years of isolation. And now they're teaching us," Yuna said. "So we don't have to pay the same price." The war lasted 15 years. 15 years of brutal combat. Millions of casualties. Hundreds of worlds damaged. But slowly, impossibly, the tide turned. The predecessor fleet grew smaller. The galaxy grew stronger. The final battle took place at the edge of dark space. Every remaining ship from both sides gathered for one last confrontation. Yuna and Day commanded the central fleet. Around them, hundreds of admirals from dozens of species coordinated perfectly. When the last predecessor ship was destroyed, the galaxy fell silent. No celebration. Just exhaustion and relief and sadness for all who had been lost. 3 months after the war ended, Yuna attended a ceremony on Earth. The planet had become a symbol of unity, a reminder of what was possible when different people worked together. She found Myra standing alone, looking up at the stars. The diplomat looked exhausted but peaceful. "It's over," Yuna said quietly. "Yes," Myra replied. "The predecessors are gone. Truly gone this time. We verified it. And now?" Myra smiled. "Now humanity goes home. We return to Earth. We let the galaxy govern itself. We did what we promised. We taught. We helped. We fought beside you. But we won't rule you. That was never the goal. Will you stay in contact?" Yuna asked. "The galaxy needs you." "We'll be here if you need us," Myra said. "But you don't need us anymore. You've learned everything we can teach. Now it's time for you to build your own future." As Yuna left Earth for the last time, she looked back at the blue planet. Humanity had saved the galaxy twice. Not through conquest, not through domination, but through sacrifice and teaching and standing guard when no one else would. Years later, Yuna heard a rumor. A young scientist named Hana Shin had discovered something in the old records. Something about humanity's origins. About who they really were. But that was a story for another time. For now, the galaxy was at peace. United. Strong. Ready to face whatever came next. And on Earth, humanity watched the stars. Always ready. Always prepared. Guards who would never abandon their post. Even when no one remembered why the post existed. The galaxy had learned Earth's secret. Not ancient weapons. Not forbidden technology. Just the simple truth that standing together against the darkness was the only way to survive. And that lesson would echo through the stars for generations to come.